a video guide on how to turn yourself into a suicide bomber, easily downloaded from the internet. It's a film that was distributed by these men, jailed today for a total of 24 years for inciting others to commit terrorism. The court heard that they had links with Al-Qaeda in Iraq. They believed they were the UK outposts of a global war against the unbeliever. The headquarters, this flat in West London, where ringleader and technical expert Yunus Tsuli ran a sophisticated operation. Under the username Irhabi007, he posted jihadi videos on dead space on many official websites, such as the Arkansas State Highway and George Washington University. And it's an operation that the men believed was successful.
A lot of the funding that the brothers are getting is coming because of the videos. Imagine how many have gone after seeing the videos. Imagine how many have become martyrs.
Police were led to the men by their links to an Islamist group in Bosnia. 4 men were jailed earlier this year for planning terrorist attacks. They'd posted this video of themselves on the web, surrounded by weapons and ammunition. One of these men had the contact details of Yunus Tsuli saved in his computer, allowing him to have encrypted conversations with him. And these were not the only men in court today on similar charges. In Manchester earlier, 37-year-old Omar Al-Tamimi was convicted of 6 offences under the Terrorism Act. He downloaded what police called a vast library of bomb-making instructions and information on establishing a terrorist cell. He will be sentenced tomorrow. The latest, but as the online battle between the authorities and the Islamists continues to ramp up, he almost certainly won't be the last.
With me now in the studio is our reporter Nema Elberger, who's been looking at these sites. Nema, it's all very scary stuff, but these men actually haven't hurt anyone as yet.
Well, obviously it's very difficult to make that leap, but the reality is that these materials are widely available on the internet. I mean, one example of this was after Saddam Hussein was defeated, before the insurgency really launched itself. Guerrilla warfare manuals were being exchanged on the internet, were being widely distributed. So although you can't make a direct A to B link, it can't be purely a coincidence. The rise of have-a-go amateur tourists and the wide availability of these manuals. I mean, it remains to be seen whether today's ruling has an impact on their proliferation. But prior to this, the pro-jihad websites weren't even having to expend that much effort to evade the law. We traced this site back to a commercial server in the Netherlands, from which the author of the page appeared to be renting space. There had not even been an attempt to mask the server address, especially considering that it boasted a library of how-to jihad manuals. In fact, we've discovered it links to the most famous manual of all in jihad circles, the Nemo files, named after the cartoon Finding Nemo. Among the Nemo files is this incredibly detailed step-by-step guide to making gas canister bombs. In light of recent events, that's got to be worrying to police. The European Union is attempting to pass legislation to criminalize posting bomb-making techniques and blocking access to sites. The obvious success story is China, but that isn't a parallel I'm sure the EU would be comfortable with, but it's proving impracticable.
The EU isn't generating the majority of these sites. You've been looking into, in fact, where they're located, where they're being generated from.
No, a recently commissioned survey found that 70% of pro-jihad websites actually originated in the United States. And that's a huge issue because of the constitutional right to freedom of speech, really tying the FBI's hands. One of the websites that we managed to trace is actually the main forum for exhibiting pro-Al-Qaeda, Zarqawi, Osama bin Laden videos, and we managed to trace that back to Dallas. I mean, it seems to be incredibly easy to make it onto server space in the US, and there's not really that much that the American government can do about it.
So even though America is talking about the war on terror, perhaps more than anyone else, they don't seem to be able to carry that, to limit it in any way online.
Well, it doesn't really bode well for the European Union that even America, that has been so incredibly proactive in terms of really, going above and beyond fear of infringement of civil liberties when it comes to cracking down on these websites, hasn't been able to make any inroads. And we're not talking about sites that disappear overnight. We're talking about sites that have been in place for months, even years.